Here's an idea that is regarded as a normal one among human beings. The family represents the horde, the gathering of some animals after a genetic sequence. For most animal groups, this is the result of struggling for survival, or the animal need for mating. For humans, those reasons are long past, and the family is formed by the current culture. Thus normality is found in a family with 2 parents, plus children. Many parents, plus children. Or just the 2 potential parents, without children. Culture changed the idea of family, and family is an idea. Into such group, parents are those who raise their children and are taking part in their education. Such parents should know well enough about psychology and the environment influence on human behavior, and a general knowledge about the importance of genes. Otherwise, education of children is risky, random and personal, based solely on the ideas of some individuals. For most people, the family is a goal, and children and fulfillment, all rendered by culture. This creates certain problems. For example, the issue of children. Whether you are a parent or not, you ever wonder why you want to have a baby? What's the point? Because you need to? Because he is gentle? Because you want to play with him? For personal fulfillment? Most of the parents relive childhood moments through children, or want children to represent the success that they have not acquired. A kind of a toy trophy. I'm not saying it's wrong, but you have to ask yourself, why do you want to have a baby?
So women are given a particular role in this country. When you give a baby doll to a girl, you're already programming her. When you tie a big bow in her hair, you're programming her. So women in the future will pick whatever the hell they want. Electric trains, not necessarily a baby doll. Wiping the baby's ass is no real great career. In other words, they try to get women to believe in having children. You know, children are a pain in the ass. They're not pleasant. They can't say anything new. They require a lot of your time. You can't travel. You can't do a lot of things. So the population in the future will be diminished. Now, a lot of you believe, well, I like to have my own children. I want my name going into the future. See? Now, if you had a child, say 11 years old, and the hospital called you and said, we gave you the wrong child 11 years ago, you're not going to turn it in. Don't you see that all children are about the same? They all say about the same things. If we try to visualize the future, it's the same families and all that stuff. So when I make movies on the future, I have to use families in there. There'll be no families. Most people won't want children, but today that's normal. So you have to use that if you really want to change people. Otherwise you come at them and go, what the hell are you talking about? I wouldn't want to live in your world. Your grandmother, I told you, if you took her to Miami Beach and she saw the girls with their butts hanging out, she'd say they've gone too far. Now she's right where she's coming from, but not today. But you got to understand your grandmother was brought up in a different world. So we teach the kids in school that your parents and your grandfather were brought up at different times and their values are different than ours. But don't look at them as bad. Understand where they're coming from. Yeah. That the Indian is not stupid. All they do in their culture is dance around a fire, la la la, and because that's all they know. That's all they've been exposed to.
Now comes the next problem. Overcrowding due to culture. It is extremely risky because this system is perpetuating the idea that family is the goal of every man's life, and children are part of this idea.
For example, The Catholic Church and a lot of other religions feed off of those early Old Testament ideologies. They advocate this illusion that we can just procreate constantly and everyone's going to be fine. God will take care of everyone. As of right now, with the future of energy, established energy, the future of the way we are orienting ourselves on this planet through depletion, I'm not having any children. While I try to be as optimistic as possible with the Zeitgeist movement and what we could do, which is phenomenal what we could do, as of right now we have some powerful barriers. I'm not having children. Why? Why would I say that? First of all, I wouldn't feel good. I would feel utterly negligent and irresponsible at this point in time to bring in another human being. Most people, when they give birth to children, it's a traditionalized, self-serving, established notion where we're going to have kids and have a family. To hell with the carrying capacity of the earth. To hell with the fact that we might be impoverished. I mean, you see this in trailer parks all the time. I used to live in a trailer park. I've seen this countless times. People don't have any relationship to anything. They have no education as far as what makes society work, as far as what the processes are that feed them. So they continue to have kids over and over and over again, or continue to do many, many things that have no relationship to anything. But let's focus on the children aspect. For me to bring in a child is for me to actually say, I believe the world will be in good shape for the duration of my child's life. And then it becomes, well, what if my child has a grandchild? Should the world have the integrity to maintain stability for that child as well? This is the question. This is what all parents out there should be asking themselves. They shouldn't be having children for their own self-serving needs so they can have a family and be traditional and show up at church and have their 2 kids. It has to relate to something real. Humanity has to start thinking about its relationship to the earth. Until it does so, we're fucking doomed. We have created an economic structure, a religious, philosophical structure that is absolutely decoupled from anything tangible and real, and these ideologies are what will destroy the human species and destroy the planet.
I enjoy working there, but there are other things I want to do.
Like what?
Well, eventually, I'd like to get married and have kids. I said eventually, you don't have to panic.
We had talked about naming our kids. I just thought that was somewhere off in the future. And as much as I hate to admit it, all I kept thinking was, Drew, you will never, ever sleep with another woman again. Ever.
Love is a BS word. You yourself have, and most people in the radio audience, have done things that they're sorry for. They've done things that they thought were insufficient, all of us. So sometimes you love yourself, sometimes you don't, sometimes you hate yourself. So if you marry somebody, sometimes you love them very much, sometimes a little less, sometimes you're disappointed in them. So love is not a fixed thing. It's a fluctuating situation. If you marry a girl that has 7 qualities that you like, after you're married 5 years, you meet another girl that has 27 qualities that you like. You can't help but feel for that person.
In the future, you'll probably love as many people who are lovable. You'll share ideas and values with many people, and you probably won't have one person that's a possession. Today, a lot of people who are married, that's their possession. And if anything happens to them, if they die, it's really terrible that that's the only people that they share their lives and their values and their work with.
So you see, all our values, the way we look at the world, we've learned that at a certain time. And I'm saying that in the future, people will be very different than we are today. People will not use the word love, they'll use the word extensionality. I associate with a person because they enhance my life, they make my life easier, we have a lot in common, we understand each other in many different areas, and as the years go by, we've increased and improved or relationship. That's what love will really become. Today it's just a word, like religion is a verbal hobby. On a radio broadcast, Larry King once asked me what I thought of Christianity. And I said, it's a great idea. Why are they putting it into practice? Well, you brought the word up, emotion. That's one of the major problems. Korzybski called it thalamic behavior. And behavior that was rational, he called cortical behavior, referring to the cortex of the brain. Now, emotional behavior really might spike you to feel a certain way, good or bad or right or wrong, but cortical behavior is to point out the shortcomings so that people can avoid accidents or fire. You teach them how to handle varying situations. For example, if there's an automobile accident and the children are trapped in the car and the gasoline is spilling over the engine and the mother says, oh my God, my children are trapped in the car, they're going to burn to death, that's thalamic behavior. If she picks up a log or a rock and breaks the windows and pulls the chicken out or the children out, that's cortical behavior. We want to convert all emotions into useful directions as near as we're able to.
I like the example of when there's a cliff, a road on the side of a cliff, and the car might go over and somebody gets in an accident and the first person comes to them and they're hurt and they hold their hand and they cry with them and they say they're there. But then there's the doctor that acts upon it and mends them and fixes them. But the engineer that you hear nothing about, who comes along and puts a wall on the side of the road or tilts the road and puts a brake so there are no accidents, you don't hear anything about those in society. And those are the people that really should be honored.
I couldn't agree more. I used the example of, Mother Teresa versus Louis Pasteur. And, people always have an emotional affiliation and identification with the generosity of this person, yet they don't realize that the scientists have done more for humanity than all of the, philanthropists combined.
Right, and if you designed a society where you don't need charity, that's a higher form of concern and compassion.
Absolutely.
Unfortunately, Peter, the society does that when they work on you. Each society emphasizes certain types of emotions. In motion pictures, soap operas, we learn it. We learn to be emotional, right. We learn to be irrational, and we learn to be what some people call stupid by associating with stupid people. The more irrational people you associate with, the more difficult it is for your behavior to become sane. We resent a murderer or a thief. We resent that, but we don't resent war. That's amazing. If somebody kills somebody, we get angry. The abortionists, those that are against abortion, you'd imagine they'd be at the forefront against war because it kills everybody. Right. Unborn children, women, everybody. And you'd imagine they'd line up against war. But the brain is so manipulated by the culture, they become angry at using the wrong fork. If you go to dinner at a proper place, use the wrong fork, people become angry and disappointed in you. But if you're a racist, they don't, which is amazing. The Ku Klux Klan once had 3 million members. That just shows you where society is. We are not civilized yet. We've got a long way to go. We live in a very unsane culture. I do not believe we'll make the history books of the future, except as a pathetic development in human evolution.
A human being must distinguish between imagination, marriage, and reality, physical attraction, sex, admiration for other people. When you know the reality, you will make decisions accordingly, and you will not unconsciously comply to the culture in which you were born, and, the most, you will accept these situations as some rituals, but being aware of them. The monetary system maintains this culture by promoting the family idea even more, creates a big business from this. From holidays, to specific objects for family or house and car idea, which comes with the family foundation, all are just consumption for the monetary system. It's very strange how human beings, although many of them are complying to the culture, in this case through marriage, then family, and once they are entering the world of pact with another person and forming a family, they were missing millions of opportunities to meet other people. We are so many, but we know so little.